Hey everybody, welcome to my latest project. It's a speedrun walkthrough of Yu-Gi-Oh! Capsule Monster Coliseum for the PlayStation 2. Why do I say speedrun walkthrough? Well, I did attempt a full speedrun of this game, but it took so long that I kind of fell asleep during it. Kinda, sorta. I mean, I did finish the run, and I did technically get a world record time, but the run is not official by any means. And I think I would prefer to just do a walkthrough of the game and just let whoever wants to actually speedrun the game and spend the whole 5 hours to do it, they can take the reins and just copy my strategies, because this is a strategy game in which the computer puts no variance into its moves. Given the same situation, it will always do the same move every single time. There is no random number generating at all in this game, except for the coin toss to determine who goes first. So you can really plan out the strategy that would take the fewest number of moves to complete, and then just run the game that way. You just have to hope you win that coin toss, and the odds are pretty high that you'll actually win it anyways, for reasons I'll get into later. So while this game is taking a very long time to give you the tutorial on the elemental rock, paper, scissors, I'll explain what's actually going on here. In each battle in Capsule Monsters, both players have a symbol and then a number of monsters on their side. You can either destroy all the monsters or destroy the enemy symbol to win. And destroying the symbol is very much preferred, and we do it numerous times across the run. Now, the monsters in this game, they kind of move like chess pieces. This game is kind of an evolution of chess. Each monster can move either in a straight line or diagonally, and attack ranges are like that too. So much of the game is about just dealing out as many attacks as you can without leaving yourself vulnerable. And that's gonna be a pretty big theme here too, because the monsters that we're using for this run are mostly wind monsters, and wind monsters just have the highest mobility in the game, and we picked a fire symbol at the start of the game, and that fire symbol increases the attack power of all wind monsters, and fire monsters too, but we mostly use wind monsters for the mobility. Damage calculation in this game is pretty simple. You just take your attack stat and subtract their defense stat, and that's how much damage you did. If you have an elemental advantage, I don't actually know what happens if you have an elemental advantage, but it's a pretty solid hypothesis that the damage goes up. I don't know the actual formula for it, is what I'm trying to say here. If you have an elemental disadvantage, then your damage is halved from what it would have been if the matchup was neutral. By the way, this run was done on an emulator, so if there is any choppiness to it or frame drops, then that's probably the emulator's fault. So this stage has tutorials in it. We'll just skip through all of that. I turned the voice acting off, but this game has the original 4Kids voice actors, which may or may not be a bad thing, depending on how you view their acting. I think they're good actors, especially Dan Green. And it's mostly Dan Green for much of this game. Anyhow, in battle preparations here, I'm setting up the symbol and my monsters. The main monsters we're going to be using are Drollbird and Kurama. Drollbird can move 4 spaces in a straight line, and Kurama can move diagonally 3 spaces, so they're the most mobile and versatile things we've got in the entire run. Now when the game starts, you have to summon all of your monsters out of their capsules, and this costs a resource called AP. You start with a certain amount of AP and gain a certain amount every turn, but every time you summon a monster, the amount of AP you get back increases. Now at the start of the game, I chose to customize my symbol. This is something that the game lets you do. You can put 200 points into either the symbol's life points, which is useless because you should never let your symbol get hit anyways, the amount of AP you start with, and the amount of money you start with. Now, I chose 10 monsters that have a total cost of under 400, just under 400 in fact, which is the amount of money you start with at the beginning. So I don't need to put any points into life points or money, I just put it all into AP. And having 250 AP at the start of every round basically gives us enough AP to move and summon all of our monsters in one turn. Mostly anyways, there's going to be a couple exceptions, but for the most part, 250 AP has got me covered. And here I'm just moving everybody forward. The terrain can also affect your attack and defense points, as that tutorial just told us. Lots and lots of terrain really favors the wind monsters for some reason. Like, you'd think that the water would only affect water monsters, but I don't know. I gotta hand it to Joey, though. It was a good idea to bring in all fire monsters on a water-based board, huh? I don't know. Those Fire Reapers are actually really strong, but we're gonna maneuver in such a way that they never manage to hit us, hit the same monster rather, more than once. They all have the ability to two-hit kill any of my monsters, but I can also two-hit kill any of their monsters, and here we go. First attack of the game. Obviously, you want to turn the battle animations off. The attack boost from the symbol doesn't really matter at this point. Like, these are two-hit kills no matter what kind of a symbol you've got. And you'll notice that one of Joey's monsters there is still inside its capsule. You can in fact destroy monsters while they're still in the capsule. We're gonna use this in a lot of locations, and it's so funny every time it happens too, because, you know, it just feels unfair to have that happen to you. So Joey's symbol in this stage, it's too far into the corner for me to actually kill it, though I'm pretty sure I could drop it in 2 hits. So we just have to deal with all of the Fire Reapers. Funny thing about this stage, if you're on the losing end of a round with Joey, then he might say, now my Flame Swordsman's gonna heat things up, but he never actually uses a Flame Swordsman in the game, so I have actually no idea why that line was there other than, oh, it's a line from the anime that he uses on occasion. He didn't even use Flame Swordsman that much. Oh no, the stage is sinking! And it's not going to affect any of the combat that's currently going on right now. So this game made a big deal out of its map mutations, which basically means that the stage can be altered in some way. In this case, the water level rises, which means our wind monsters are favored even more, but the spaces where it's actually happening are nowhere near where the actual combat is going on, so that doesn't matter a whole lot. I try to complete as many of the stages as possible before their map mutations occur, and this is going to be big in a couple of stages. Because obviously, in a speedrun, you want to avoid as many animations as possible. This segment of the speedrun, the first 5 opponents, takes 42 minutes to complete, and I think you could shave off a couple of minutes from what I'm doing. Yeah, in case you haven't noticed, these battles take much longer than they probably should. The world record before I posted my time was 4 hours and 50 minutes. Actually, it was 4 hours and 49 minutes, and I just shaved off a single minute off of it. I was so lucky to do that, because that run had lots of blunders in it. Anyhow, we're going to finish up the first map here. There are 25 opponents in the game. 5 in each of the 5 areas that you have to go through. Kind of a shame that there's no hard mode or anything. I would love to have Joey just, like, bust out some tougher monsters. Like, I don't know, he could use Meteor Dragon, he could use Flame Swordsman, he could use Baby Dragon, he could use Thousand Dragon. It's kind of a shame that there's no hard mode. I'd love to ROM hack this game, actually. And I do have a couple of ways to do that with GameShark codes. Unfortunately, they're just GameShark codes, so, you know, it's a little less satisfying than an actual ROM hack. So if somebody wants to get on that, you know who to call. So at the end of every stage, you'll earn money, bonus experience for all monsters, including the symbol, well, all living monsters, that is. And you can take 2 of the enemy's monsters that you destroyed. Now, the Fire Reapers, I just took them because I thought, okay, maybe I'll need them in the future, but I don't think I need them at all. They're too slow, and they don't really have enough of an attack range to do anything cool. They are pretty strong, though, I'll give them that, especially with the fire symbol. Each symbol in the game has a different effect on 2 attributes of monsters, and will have a negative effect on 1 other attribute. So for the fire symbol, fire and wind monsters get an attack boost, as I stated, and water monsters lose attack, I think. No, not water monsters, wood monsters. It'd be great if water monsters lost attack. Well, it wouldn't be great, but... Moving on to Tristan's stage. This stage was very annoying to route. I don't have any way of speeding it up like I did some of the later stages. Tristan picked a really annoying and, quite frankly, strange stage to play in. He's got a wood symbol, but only 2 of his monsters are wood, and they're really weak, too. I think he's more notable for his thunder monsters than anything else, because in the Capsule Monsters anime, he had a Thunder Kid, and he's got a Thunder Kid in this stage, and yeah. So, I should also mention that if one of your monsters gets destroyed, it is forbidden from participating in one battle, the next battle. Not as big of a deal as you'd think, because you could just surrender the next battle and then try it over again, but you lose a couple minutes because of all the loading screens and everything. So I prefer not to do that. I mean, my monsters can take one for the team if they are not needed in the next stage anyways. So, Tristan's stage. You'll notice me deploying a Kuriboh here, even though I never actually move it. I want Kuriboh to collect the bonus experience at the end of the stage, because when Kuriboh hits level 4, it gains the best ability I have ever seen in any video game. The special abilities in Capsule Monsters are usually pretty disappointing. Most of them are just like attack boosts for 1 turn, or defense boosts for 1 turn, or maybe boost all monsters' attacks, or special attacks, or whatever. But you have to use them without moving if you want to use them. You can't move and use a special ability in the same turn. And for just about everybody except Kuriboh's ability, this just ruins any potential they had. This game, I like this game, but it doesn't have nearly the lasting depth it could have had. Oh well. Maybe one day they'll produce a sequel. This is a really good way for some of the lesser-known monsters to get some attention. Like, nobody would ever use Thunder Kid. Oh, I'm sorry. It's called Kaminari Kozo. Yeah, I'll just call it Thunder Kid. This game really made me think about Drollbird, Kurama, and Thunder Kid in new ways, because we use them a lot in this speedrun. It's amazing. So this move right here is going to look a little weird, but it'll be interesting, so you kind of have to wait. This takes 8 turns to complete, unlike Joey's stage, which took 5 turns to complete. 5 is a pretty average number of turns to take, so an 8-turn clear on this map was just kind of embarrassing, but I don't have any real way to speed it up. It's just a really slow stage. The 2 petite moths that Tristan has are slow, and Thunder Kid isn't slow, but it's going to take forever because the stage does not like his move type at all. Thunder Kid moves diagonally. And he also has a Steel Scorpion, which is pretty annoying to deal with. A couple of opponents have them. It dies really quickly, but it also kills you pretty quickly. That's kind of the thing with Thunder Monsters. Oh, and this terrain that I'm standing on with all the electrical wires, it damages non-Thunder monsters if you're caught standing there. Unfortunately, we have to take a couple of hits, and you can in fact move diagonally over that hole. Diagonal monsters are really awesome because you can't stop them from moving someplace unless there's like a thick wall. They can slip in through corners and stuff. And for any monster in this game, if there's a tile with a hole on it, you can move over the hole, but you certainly can't stop on the hole. And I just noticed that Joelbert could, like, move forward and jump over the hole. Great. If that's of any strategic importance, then I probably have to redo the video all over again. Let's hope that doesn't happen. I mean, I would love it if it happened, but let's hope it didn't happen. Actually, it probably wouldn't speed anything up in this stage anyways, considering that we go for a symbol kill in this stage. So we have to sit through all the damage animations, which is really unfortunate. And we definitely want to destroy that Thunder Kid too, because we actually use it in the very next stage and a couple of stages later on too. Now there is a shop where you can purchase more monsters, but going to it costs a couple of loading screens, so I prefer not to have to go there if I don't need to. The game is very courteous and places all of the new monsters you acquire through winning battles directly into your team of monsters instead of just sending it to your capsule stock where you would have to go back to the entrance hall and dig it out and, you know, annoying stuff. Actually, that Steel Scorpion is pretty weak in this stage. Oh well. Pretty weak monster though. It almost dies in one hit. I would have loved it if it got killed in one hit. Maybe if Kurama had leveled up. It's left with 4 hit points, so maybe a level up wouldn't have solved it. The wind monsters are actually really strange. If they level up, the only stat I've seen go up on a wind monster is defense. That they don't gain, like, direct stats for leveling up. They increase the impact of the symbol on their stats, which is, that actually is really bad, actually, because, you know, somebody might not be using a fire symbol. So, that's really sad. Having, like, an entire attribute of monsters only be good if you're using a certain symbol. Well, I haven't actually examined if all of the wind monsters in the game are actually bad, but the ones we use are really good, are with the fire symbol. Yeah. And I have nothing to say, well, it takes 50 billion turns to destroy the symbol because it has an elemental advantage, which means we get to watch our monsters hit it over and over again. On the bright side, every time you hit the thing, you get 10 free experience points. Of course, destroying it is worth 100 experience points, so I don't know. You could farm it for EXP if you were playing this casually. Come on, just 2 more hits. I don't really care who gets what amount of experience points unless I'm using Karibo, because then I want him to get as many experience points as possible. So he levels up faster. The levels on my monsters, my other monsters, don't really matter too much. Well, I have to aim for your symbol because it's quicker, Tristan. Can you imagine if I spent all that time dealing with the petite moths and just, like, hitting them over and over? Whatever. Oh yeah, if you level up in battle, it might be worth it to just reject the level up. You can actually reject level ups in this game. I don't really see any advantage to that other than avoiding the level up animation. If you level up on this screen, it's perfectly okay though, because it's going to show you the thing anyways, and it doesn't give you the giant animation. So, next up is Duke Devin's stage. Duke Devin is amusing to me. The guy introduces himself as a gaming expert because apparently if you design one crappy dice game nobody likes, you're instantly a gaming expert. I mean, I've made ROM hacks nobody likes, so does that make me a programming expert? I don't know. So, I initially thought when playing against Duke Devin that I would just have to route all of his monsters because it was extremely risky to just charge forward and go for a symbol kill as quickly as possible. As you'll see, the stage is pretty packed in and small, so it's gonna be like there's gonna be a lot of action when we start the game. Then I found out that you could in fact speed kill a symbol by using the Thunder Kid we just picked up, so I'm gonna do that. Unfortunately, there's one twist to this little scheme that I'm pulling off here. Now, I uploaded a video of the Duke Devin battle to my YouTube channel previously, and in the description I expressed worry that if I speed killed the symbol, then I wouldn't be able to take his Kuriboh. And I want his Kuriboh because, you know, best ability in the game, you're going to want to collect a few of them. But don't worry, all of the strategies that involved Kuriboh that I had come up with can easily be changed to not involve an extra Kuriboh, so we're safe. We are perfectly safe. So, when I recorded this stage, I flubbed it a little bit. Because the camera had rotated from what its position was in my previous attempt at the stage, I was like completely thrown off. I had no idea where I was supposed to actually place my monsters, and I wound up putting them in the completely wrong positions. Fortunately, I was still able to pull off the speed kill with minimal consequences, I guess, except that I couldn't take the Kuriboh, which, you know, necessitated changing some of the routes later on. But it's no big deal. In fact, this probably works out better, not having to use the Kuriboh. You see how the camera sweeps around like that? I would prefer if it didn't do that. Like, even if it doesn't take extra time, which it probably does. So you'll notice that we deployed two Happy Lovers. Apart from being the weirdest named monster in the game, Happy Lover happens to have a movement of 4 spaces in a straight line, which is excellent for this stage. I get to use them as distractions. One of the Happy Lovers takes one for the team in the stage, so we're happy for that. This is the only reason I bought the Happy Lovers, other than they're a really cheap monster. The 2 petite moths that I bought at the beginning of the game are pure filler. The game requires you to start the game with 10 monsters, so I had no choice but to throw in a couple of filler monsters, even after I had already purchased all of the wind monsters I would ever need. Those Drollbirds and those Kuramas are just so versatile, it's beautiful. And I am extremely lucky that they cost just under the amount that I needed them to cost. It's very nice. So yeah, if you ever copy this strategy, you know, you aren't gonna want to take like a bunch of extra time worrying if you have to reset or if the route is screwed. Because fortunately, even though this looks like it's going to turn out horribly for me, at least in my eyes, Duke Devin shows us how smart he actually is. We see he's destroying one of the Happy Lovers, just like the original route went. Yugi's going to be afraid that he's losing, even though this is a guaranteed win for me at this point. I'm surprised he didn't play a thunder symbol, because that would have, like... Some of the symbol choices are just odd. Tristan is a wood symbol, Duke is a dark symbol, even though a thunder symbol would have just... It certainly would have ruined this stage's strategy, so I'm pretty thankful he used a dark symbol anyways. And he just blundered his symbol away. Because now, Kurama here can hit the symbol for the first hit needed to destroy it, and Thunder Kid up there is in the perfect position to deliver the defeat blow. Or the finishing blow. And here, you know, I wig out and think, oh, I'm not going to be able to destroy one of the Kuribohs like I wanted to. So that wasted a couple of seconds. I'm still not sure how the elemental advantage works if you've got an advantage on what you're attacking. So maybe someone could run some calculations and figure that out, I don't know. And boom, 2 down. Only Wait, 3 down, only 22 more to go. This is a rather silly thing of me to say. So yeah, Thunder Kid's gonna get lots and lots of speed kills in this game. He's just so fast. He's as fast as Kurama, and with a way cooler attack range too. The only weakness of the little guy is that he dies rather quickly. And he's kind of like a chess bishop, so you can easily evade his attacks, but if there are 2 of them, uh-oh. So next up is Taya Gardner. Taya is another character with a weird symbol choice. She uses a water symbol even though there's only 1 water monster on her team. But thank goodness she used a water symbol, otherwise I couldn't one-shot her symbol. And she's gonna blunder it away too, just like Duke did. If you've seen the video of this on my channel, then you know what's coming. This is by far the weirdest speed kill I've ever pulled off because it can only be done under some very extreme circumstances. You have to go first, you have to deploy 4 monsters or more in very specific positions, and then you just rush right at her and the game wins itself for you. And it's lucky that that happens too, because if I had taken 2 turns more, the game would have given us the giant long map animation where the game has to, you know. We avoid a long animation this way, so it's perfect. It is a pretty cool animation though. The clock strikes 12, the lights go out and it starts snowing, because it's Christmas morning. Now feast your eyes on my presents. A bunch of droll birds climbing down the chimney like it's... I don't know where that joke is going. So I don't actually have to deploy like more than 4 monsters, but I certainly want to, because, you know, they can collect all that extra EXP that way, especially Kuribo. Just setting up the board. This takes like way too long to do. I wish setting up the board didn't take so long. I would have loved it if this were a Game Boy Advance game, because then, you know, there'd be no loading, the animations would be faster, I think. Although considering Dungeon Dice Monsters, the graphics would have probably been junk. So these 3 droll birds are literally the only monsters we move in this strategy. None of the others need to move. If you want to speedrun this game, finding your path through the stage to a quick and easy speed kill is the first part of it. The second part is optimizing it so you have to make as few moves as possible. And I'm glad I do get to speed kill Taya too, because she has petite moths, like with Tristan. So having to deal with those would be very annoying, because, you know, wind monsters do half damage against them. You've heard me talk about all this before, I'm just out of things to say at the moment. Now you might wonder, why don't I use a fire monster in here or something, or aren't there any fire monsters with good mobility? Not really. The only fire monsters available to start move 3 spaces in a straight line, which is slower than Drollbird, and Drollbird just pulls off too many one-shot kills to be able to, you know, for me to consider something other than Drollbird would take quite a bit, to be honest. I actually did try using a thunder symbol. The current world record run that is actually official. By official, I mean it was uploaded to YouTube. The world record run on YouTube uses a thunder symbol with some pretty suboptimal strategies, but I can kind of see the merits of thunder monsters, because, you know, Thunder Kid is obviously very good. But not a lot of other thunder or dark monsters have quite the mobility needed throughout this game. Guess it's worth noting that that taxi in the center of the stage is the most annoying thing ever. So anyhow, this AI manipulation causes Taya to send her symbol to the left instead of the right. If it went to the right, I have no idea what I would have done in order to... Well, if it does go to the right, then I just send Kurama up there to one-shot it. Now, with that monster out of the way, we can destroy the symbol. We have just enough turns left to destroy it on this round. So that's very, very lucky. I have no idea how they program the AI in this game, but it's a pretty amazing thing when you manipulate the AI this way. So with that out of the way, there's only one obstacle to clearing Area 1. And unfortunately, the opponent picked a really odd symbol yet again. The final opponent uses an earth symbol, but he's got 3 wood monsters and 2 dark monsters. What kind of sense does that make? The earth symbol... Yeah, I'm not even sure what's up with that. I know that the earth symbol raises the attack power of light monsters, but... And believe me, the opponents that do have earth symbols in this game, they're completely annoying because it raises the life points of their earth monsters, and that just kills any chance of one-shotting any of those guys. So, fun note about the final stage in Area 1. It is actually based on the real-life Capsule Monsters board game. The shape is exactly the same, however it has one stage gimmick that the real board game thankfully doesn't. Kind of fitting that the final opponent is Grandpa, given the origin of the stage. So those tiles in the middle of the board there, every time a piece stops on one of them, the adjacent unoccupied spaces flip from being a wood tile to a fire tile, or a fire tile to a wood tile. If it's a fire tile, the monster standing on it gets an attack boost, and if it's a wood tile, you get not as big of attack boost, but you'll certainly get a defense boost. Also, on this stage, I wound up going second, and I thought, it's not worth the time to just surrender and retry, because it's already the final stage. I don't want to take any more time, so I'll just roll with this. If you do wind up going second, you're allowed to choose which corner of the board you start in, which doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean... Well, okay, for this stage, it doesn't really matter too much because the stage is pretty symmetrical, and there are a couple of stages where this will matter, whether or not you're going first or second, but a lot of times I just go first because it's what allows me to get a speed kill in the first place. You can't speed kill that symbol, though. It's way too tucked into the corner. Actually, that corner... Nah, it's not advantageous. I'm just hallucinating here. I've been talking for a straight half hour, so this is probably causing my words to... What was that face? Did he just say it was time to raise the roof? So in this level, it might actually be advantageous to go second as far as speedrunning goes, because with my monsters arranged like so, you can get the first strike on the Karibo because it overextends on the first turn every single time. I don't even mind if... Yeah, I actually don't have a solid strategy for this round, because first of all, I'm going second, so even if I did have a strategy for a speed kill or something, it would likely involve going first, so I'm kind of winging it a little here. In fact, I'm winging it a lot. It's also hard for me to memorize some of the strategies, even though I came up with them. So at times in the future, I will come up with strategies that kind of make the most sense to me, so that my brain just autopilots for the rest of the match or something. So in this stage, since I'm playing it by ear, there's a possibility that I might lose a monster or two. Fortunately, for the next match after this one, I know that I only need 2 drill birds to live. So I won't have to waste any time surrendering and retrying, as long as I keep 2 drill birds alive. That's going to be the objective here. And the Happy Lovers get some more action. I probably could have worded that better. The Happy Lovers get to play a little bit more. No, I'm sorry. They get to deploy their... Well, let's not beat around the bush. The Happy Lovers get to wreck the enemies and make them feel bad about themselves for a little bit more time because they have the longest, straightest movement out of all of my other monsters, excluding Drillbird. Wow. I tried. So yeah, I have to actually think about my next move, which, you know, thinking does waste time. Ah, that's a strange out-of-context statement there. Now I just have to be careful. I mean, I can let anybody die except for the drill birds. They're the most important here. It's a very droll run. You know, make any droll joke you want. I would find it very hilarious if Drollbird somehow became, like, impossibly unstoppable in the trading card game for whatever reason. And it looks like that might happen, given the trend of normal monsters becoming amazing. Oh, I'm sorry, I was supposed to commentate on the gameplay. So the dark monsters are actually really easy to destroy. They go down in 2 hits, just like always, but the big problem is going to be the petite moths and the cockroach knight. Insects. The one monster type that should never be a threat in any conceivable fashion. Even the insect user in this game is not a threat by any means. I mean, you know what, there's also only like 2 opponents that use wood symbols, which, that's also very strange. So I thought about having Kurama jump in there, but it's gonna get destroyed before it manages to outlive its usefulness, so I'm just gonna hit this petite moth 2 times and hope for the best. I think they can destroy one of my monsters at this point. They may have elemental advantages, but they can't one-shot you. Happy Lover can 2-shot a petite moth if both attacks are made from the fire tiles on the board. And if they can't manage that, there's always the option of swinging in with a third monster. So yeah, that's Drillbird number 1 down. We can't lose another one. Otherwise, the strategy for the next match won't work. And that's a lot of damage. Now, the game... Oh yeah, I should mention this too. The game displays a little line from Yugi every time you inflict more than 50% of a monster's health as damage. Because, you know, he's like, oh, that was a lot of damage, but I lived through it, and the computer opponents do the same thing. Kind of wish you could avoid that easier, but there doesn't seem to be any real way to, you know, manipulate it. Well, since it's 50%, you would have to destroy a lot of monsters in 3 or 1 hit in order to avoid those text boxes. So that's all but one of the monsters dealt with. Did I move that last Kurama? No, I didn't. Now I just hope that I don't cause this thing to take an extra turn, and it doesn't look like it will. The 2 Happy Lovers can attack it, Drollbird can attack it, the Kuramas can't. It's easier than I expected to evade Kurama's attack range. A pair of Thunder Kids is way harder to avoid. Nope. I don't think we'll be able to destroy it on this turn. I mean, I recorded this, but... yep, it's gonna live with 20 health. That thing has just way too much health for what it is. Later on in the game, we'll be able to just wreck any monster type, even the wood monsters. Now, after this battle, the symbol will actually have gained enough experience points to level up. When the symbol levels up, you get 3 points that you can put into either its life points, again useless, its base AP, and its effect rate. Now, if you pump points into the effect rate, then the boost that the symbol gives to your monsters will be even greater. But I would like some extra AP, so I put 1 point into base AP at the end of this match, and the other 2 points into the symbol's effect rate. We will eventually be maxing out the symbol's effect rate, like towards area 3 or so, and when that happens, we just go completely insane, because when the effect rate is maxed, then the fire symbol doubles the attack of all of our wind monsters, which is a very, very nice boost to have. So that's why I'm using the fire symbol. And that is it for Area 1. Next time we take on Area 2, which has a lot more intrigue to it, so you can look forward to it if the intricacies of strategy game speedrun routes intrigue you.